Thank you very much. My name is James Cameron. I'm founder and chairman of an enterprise called Climate Change Capital. We deploy capital into property, green buildings, clean technology, private equity, and in emission reduction projects around the world driven by a price for carbon. We're increasingly working with public money too in the so-called payment for performance category, where funds are created by governments but managed by others according to a set of performance criteria which include environment, development, and social issues. I'm also chairman of the Overseas Development Institute, leading think tank in the UK on development matters, and I'm a shareholder in an enterprise called Agrico, which, as it sounds, is an agricultural development business with an asset in Tanzania, a large rice farm. When you put those things together, what you see is a long-standing interest in deploying capital, long-term capital if possible, for outcomes that can be measured, where performance is judged according to a range of criteria, financial performance obviously, but also where one looks to see rational use of resources, genuine sustainability, and particularly where the energy, water, and food nexus lies, where you can improve productivity in each. So that's the range of interests I have in this sector, and I happen to believe that Africa is a particularly good place in its many different guises to deploy that kind of capital for those kinds of outcomes.
And just was curious, what sources of capital, private or public, do you think are needed to get these areas to scale? And what's in it for these investors?
Well, those are great questions, because I see this as being a way to finance in an instrumentally sustainability and self-reliance in Africa. If I take the particular experience of growing this enterprise in Tanzania, it in itself a large rice farm, 5,000 hectares, which we tried to develop in a sound and sustainable way, keeping the smallholders on the land, trying to use as much of the agricultural waste to generate energy. That tells you that you need to have investors that actually don't fit very well the model of private equity in Europe and North America. You need investors who are prepared to have longer holds, longer exit periods, that have, frankly, a sense of commitment to development. The fact that many of the things that you would expect to be available to you to grow a business are not, and you need to perhaps find ways of cooperating with others to build capacity over time in order to get what could be very strong returns from your investment if you're prepared to endure. So I think that opens up tremendous scope for combinations of capital, public, private, philanthropic, where there are those who have an interest in the longer term and are prepared to back a vision of how things could be. I was struck by, I was at the MDG Success Gathering at the UN yesterday, and Tony Elumelu from Nigeria was making some very encouraging sounds about how long-term investment in the power sector in particular could be achieved with this combination of investment for return and investment for longer-term development. But there's another area where I think we have to think think differently about where the investment comes from for big transformations. You can see it most clearly in the telecoms sector, where telecoms and the distribution of mobile phones have completely altered the way in which other technologies can be distributed in society. So just to give you one example, it's emblematic. If you look what's happened in Kenya with very large mobile phone take-up, 80% of Kenyans have mobile phones, but only 20% have access to the grid. Well, you've seen great innovation around the use of mobile phones, for example, mobile payments, mobile banking, but now a connection has been made between that, mobile payment, and sustainable energy, with solar PV systems being sold in conjunction with the mobile phone, charges the phone, but also offers a payment system. So it may well be that we get the distribution of new technologies through infrastructure that was designed for another purpose. that the telecoms, broadband, and mobile phone penetration is actually the carrier for alternative energy systems. So this is part of what I think was very exciting about the potential to think differently about what sorts of capital could be combined to build a modern infrastructure that, as I said, ensures greater sustainability and self-reliance for Africa and doesn't necessarily replicate a model that we have established in North America and Europe.
So potentially leapfrogging technology.
Indeed, in technology, but also in the means by which we deploy the capital and the combinations of interest that we can put together in order to, frankly, win the prize of this very long-term investment.
Great, great.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.